Obviously, we have a lot of work to do. We have to reevaluate, we have to review, we have to meet with people and make decisions in the coming weeks. Again, our hope is to get this case retried by the end of the year, but obviously, time will tell if we're able to do that. But that is our intention at this time.
All right, some major developments in the Alex Murdaugh case. The South Carolina Supreme Court overturned the former attorney's double murder convictions and life sentence, ordering a new trial. Murdaugh was convicted in 2023 in the killings of his wife and son. Joining us now is criminally obsessed investigator Anne Emerson. Anne, what happened here? What happened here, Anne?
Hi, Lincoln.
Hey, so what happened in this case? I know we're having some audio troubles. Give us the rundown. What happened here?
Well, I mean, as far as what went wrong in the original trial, it appears that Becky Hill, the clerk of court, really created an enormous amount of problems to be able to continue this. I mean, everything else was going great except for the fact that she got involved with the jury. And according to the court, it appears with the testimony that was given by just a few jurors, like 3 jurors, it looked like it was a jury interference, and this just cannot go on. It is actually shocking that it happened, and it was happening behind our backs during this this trial. I mean, I sat on those pews for 6 weeks, and for this to be going on behind closed doors is horrible, and it really did throw they had to toss the entire conviction out.
So does this reset the case completely?
It does reset the case completely, but it certainly is. This kind of reset means that we're looking at going back to trial as soon as possible for the double murder convictions. They need to retry everything. The Supreme Court was very clear that they did not like the fact that so much of Alex Murdaugh's financial crimes got brought into the picture. We called it literally the trial within the trial. It was financial crimes and horrible financial crimes, millions of dollars that were stolen. He's been convicted of that. He's serving 40-year federal sentence and a 20-year concurrent sentence with what were his double murder convictions on the state level. And, that's a long time in prison. So he is staying behind bars. But as far as this goes, they're going to try and keep those financial crimes out a little bit more. But with all the technicalities, all the cards on the table, there's an opportunity here, Lincoln, for them really to extend this trial just as long as it was before. I don't see it being much shorter than the 6 weeks that we spent on those benches before.
How unusual is all of this, Anne?
Very unusual. Very unusual in terms of having a case of this magnitude, to have a clerk of court disrupt the trial like this and cause this level of problems. I mean, literally, the Supreme Court justices, in a unanimous decision, decided that it was so egregious, so shocking, that they had to overturn possibly the most well-known case in South Carolina history for criminal trials. Now, on the back end of that question, is really interesting, because if you talk to lawyers, judges, legal analysts, retrying a case is not that unusual, right? Things come up all the time. We got to retry it because of this reason. There's a hung jury. There's this and that. Overturning a double murder conviction, it happens. But in a case of this level of prominence, I think is very, very rare.
And what about the scrutiny now being paid to this second trial? When that happens, this will be a lot of scrutiny.
There is a huge amount of scrutiny. And, Lincoln, I mean, the thing is that they have to, now they're under this microscope of people behaving badly, basically, within the court system. So that level of trust that the clerk of court's going to make good decisions, that the bailiff's going to make good decisions, that we're not going to have anything going on behind the scenes. I think what we all worry about is the impartiality of the jury that they pick, because for them to be able to even find a jury that can still come up with a decision based on the evidence that's presented, who is that? who are these people that they're going to find in the state of South Carolina? I mean, and I'm not even putting it down in Colleton County. I'm saying if they pull jurors from across the state, which I think they've done before, according to my legal people, how are they going to find these people? And if they do, that means that they weren't convinced by the first videos and like the kennel video, which is very famous, that kind of put Alex Murdaugh at the scene of the crime within minutes of it happening, and he lied about it until he literally got on the stand. He had lied to his lawyers about it in the last, in the last trial, until he got on the stand and admitted he lied about being there. Who is it? So I would say the people that they're going to have to pick on this jury, we're talking about people that would be leaning towards the defense, not the state.
What are surviving family members saying?
There are some media reports that Buster has spoken to, a friend of a friend. So I can't corroborate that source because this wasn't my reporting that was done, but we're seeing sort of in more of the tabloids that he's very, very upset. But I can say, because I am speaking to people that are in that inner circle, other people, not Buster, but other people in that inner circle, and they're devastated. They're devastated. This is a re-victimization. And, what I'm hearing is that first of all, the idea that he feels he needs to clear his name is, I'm hearing the word selfish, really, that he would put his family back through this when it will make no difference, we think, of whether or not he'll ever get out of prison. He's stuck in prison because of the financial crimes. So, for him to do this again and to insist on a retrial, I think is incredibly triggering to family members, to colleagues, to anyone that was touched by this whole double murder. And I'm not even getting into like all the people that covered it. I think we all have a little bit of, Murdaugh fatigue, or we did from the first time. But it's important to remember that 2 people died, and 2 people died brutally. They were murdered. They were gunned down. Justice for Maggie and Paul is a real thing for the wife and son of Alex Murdaugh. They did not deserve to die. They deserve to have justice in their names, just like any other victim out there. And that's why we're retrying this case and taking it so seriously.
And real quickly, were you shocked?
I thought I was prepared to hear it. Lincoln, we talked about, I sat through the oral arguments. I've talked to a lot of experts since those oral arguments with the South Carolina Supreme Court. So I knew that they were so disappointed in the jury tampering and interference that went on behind the scenes of this trial with Becky Hill. They were so disappointed, and they literally said in this opinion that they put out that the state failed to be able to defend what had happened or negate what had happened. There was no way that they could overlook this. So I knew it was coming down. The fact that it was a unanimous decision, that nobody felt different, I thought that was very rare. And yeah, I just honestly, I saw it and it took my breath away. So I have to say I was shocked, even though I shouldn't be. Even though when I've covered Murdaugh for 5 years, there's nothing that should shock me about this case at this point.
Okay, and get ready for more coverage of another
Murdaugh
trial.
Lincoln, Season 2.
Season 2. All right, thank you, Anne. I appreciate it.